My name is Robin Stewart. I'm Assistant Director of Alumni Relations for Virginia Tech College of Engineering. I just want to welcome everyone who has joined us here today. These First Friday webinars have been a fantastic opportunity for us to connect with our alumni and friends across the nation, around the world. And today we've got a broad range of interested alumni ranging from class years in the 60s all the way up to current students. And I'm very happy to bring a phenomenal panel of student leaders to you today. If any of you have tuned into any of the speeches, public addresses that President Sands has given over the last couple of years, you may have heard him talk about how he wants the student population at Virginia Tech to mirror the demographics of the Commonwealth of Virginia. And Dean Ross has brought that as the strategic priority within the College of Engineering as well. So we would like to talk to some of our students from those underrepresented groups and talk about their experiences as engineering students, maybe some of the challenges that they have faced through their time, but also their successes and the experience that they're gaining as students in the College of Engineering at Virginia Tech. So without further ado, I'll ask Shivani to turn on her video and I'll give a brief introduction of her. So Shivani is our Student Engineering Council President, and she is a senior this year in Industrial and Systems Engineering. And she'll be moderating our panel today. We've got a great set of questions laid out. And I'll hand it over to her to give a little bit more introduction of herself, as well as open it up to introduce our panelists. So thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you for that introduction, Robin. Hi, everyone. I'm Shivani, as Robin said, and I am the current president for the Student Engineers Council. I am a senior in Industrial and Systems Engineering, and I'm here at my home in Fairfax, Virginia. So I'm going to pass it on to our panelists if you guys want to introduce yourselves with your name, your hometown, major, and which organization you're representing.
Sure, I'll go ahead and get started. My name is Julia Pimentel. I am a junior studying material science and engineering, and I am a representative for the Society of Asian Scientists and Engineers, so SAIS. I'm the external vice president, and I am from Sterling, Virginia.
Thank you, Julia. Amy?
Hi everyone, my name is Amy Hahn. I'm a junior majoring in Industrial Systems Engineering, and I'm from Annandale, Virginia, so in Northern Virginia. And yeah, that's all. Oh, and I'm representing the Society of Women Engineers.
Thank you, Amy. Raven?
Hi everyone, I'm Raven Waters. I am the president for the National Society of Black Engineers this year. I'm a super senior in aerospace engineering, and I'm from a small town in North Carolina called Moyock. It's about 30 minutes south of Virginia Beach.
Thanks, Raven. Katrina?
Hi everyone, my name is Katarina Kaluchi Chang. I'm a fourth year PhD student in biomedical engineering. My lab is over at the Roanoke campus, and I'm here to represent the Roanoke graduate students and also the SHIP, or Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Joe.
Hi everyone, my name is Joe Padala, and I'm a sophomore majoring in computer science. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, and today I'm going to be representing AWC as the education.
Awesome. Thank you guys for joining us here today. We're going to get into our questions now. So to start off, if you guys could tell us about a hands-on learning experience that you've had as an engineering student at Tech. I know it's a heavy question, so if you want a second to think about it, but.
I can go ahead. So during my freshman year in the second Foundations of Engineering course, I was able to go to Frith Lab and work on designing a windmill with 5 other group members. And although we only got through the prototyping phase because of Corona, we were able to utilize all the materials in Frith Lab and kind of get this hands-on experience where we were able to see the the different materials available and like which materials were durable, and just, so we get a sense of like building and working in like group setting.
Similar to Joe's experience, my freshman year, I was in the Galopecia Engineering Living Learning Community, which is currently now in Hogue Hall. And in that dorm, they actually have a studio called the Invent Studio, where they have 3D printers, CNC routers, laser cutters, hand and power tools. And as a freshman, it's a really good way to, just do personal projects. And one of the ways that I was able to just kind of tackle my creative mindset is to take like water bottles and actually laser engrave designs on the water bottles. So that was one of the first experiences that I had in college where I was really hands-on in making things.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I would agree. I was going to talk about my wind turbine project freshman year in engineering, and just being in the fifth lab and being exposed to hand and power tools, because especially in high school, I wasn't a very technical person, but being exposed to laser cutting and all these different types of materials was really valuable.
I was gonna, if I can add one quick thing.
Absolutely.
As a graduate student in my department in biomedical engineering, we have 3 weeks where we go to the hospitals. So it was very eye-opening to be involved with the clinicians to see how biomedical engineering is affecting the healthcare. And it's one of the best experiences I've ever had, especially both in my undergrad and graduate career.
Yeah, awesome. And I definitely echo that. I don't think I had any such experiences in high school. So it was very cool to come to tech and have that type of valuable hands-on learning experience. But at this time, we're going to move on to our second question. You guys mentioned your current leadership positions, but is there anything that you've learned in this position or your previous leadership roles that you would like to share with us today?
I guess I can go ahead and start. So my current leadership role is the president of Virginia Tech chapter of the National Society of Black Engineers. And it's been really like eye-opening for me to be the president, because I've held a couple leadership roles within NSBE in the past. But understanding how to be be empathetic as a leader, and having bringing my leadership style into a team aspect, especially with engineers. Like, a lot of us are very headstrong and have ideas that we want to go forth with, and just learning how to tell people how to compromise and teach people how to learn about their own leadership style has been really eye-opening. I also am an RA in our living learning community. And so I've had to deal with a lot of conflict resolution, mental health, and really teaching students how to work through problems on their own, because when students come in, they don't necessarily know how to keep their emotional health and mental health intact. So I've definitely learned a lot about myself and about my leadership style through those positions.
I would like to echo on what Raven Walter said. As a graduate student, I've had, throughout my 4 years, I've had multiple leadership experiences. Right now, I've gone down because I'm almost getting out. So, but my biggest role right now is being the graduate representative for the Roanoke students, and it's been completely different compared to being I was vice president for SHIP, and then under my undergrad, I was founder of the SACNAS group over at my alma mater, and so on. And I can go on and on, but what I really want to point out is that representing the graduate students over at the Roanoke campus is not just engineers. I am also representing neuroscientists, biologists, chemists. So I can't just think with only the mindset of an engineer. I also have to take in consideration that there are other people there. So I have to bring the ideas and the concerns of a collective group of people to the graduate school, which has been quite an interesting challenge, but it's been very pleasant and very breathtaking.
As the external vice president of the Society of Asian Scientists and Engineers, one of the biggest things that I've learned is the significance of networking, especially nowadays with recruiting for companies going on and the career fairs that are happening. Networking is one of the most critical skills that you need to have. And as the external vice president, we deal a lot with corporate sponsorships, and talking with companies and having representatives organize collaborative events via Zoom. And I think one of the biggest things is, just communication and organization of events. Those are the key things that I've learned as a leader.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys. I think those are all very, very important learning experiences taken from that. And I definitely find myself as I'm navigating leadership as well, learning a lot of similar lessons. So the next question is, what are some challenges that you faced in school or the workplace?
I can start this one. But I think the biggest challenge that has been for me, and I think all of us can agree, it has been communication, especially when I was an undergrad, being able to communicate with your members, and now in my stage of my career where I am basically talking one-on-one with my advisor, with my committee members, and even as a Roanoke student representative, being able to share that with my constituents, being able to share the appropriate information, things that I think are relevant for the Roanoke graduate student population. So, and that's not easy. I mean, being Roanoke, thinking that being here in Roanoke, a lot of the services are not offered here in Roanoke and only offered in Blacksburg. Luckily, Zoom has made that more available, but it has been definitely a struggle, the communication aspect. So I would say that would be my biggest challenge, especially in my career.
Yeah, and I can imagine that communication has also been impacted with the virtual transition as well, as you mentioned. But yeah, does anyone else want to add to that? Or have a similar experience? Go for it.
One of the challenges I faced is like deciding between efficiency or more collaboration, whether it's delegating team projects and delegating roles to my teammates, whether I should like make every role equal in what they're doing or just assign it to 3 people because I know it's going to be done efficiently that way. So the way that I solve those issues is just having communication and making sure, like, asking what my teammates are comfortable with doing. And if they don't work on this one assignment, they'll make up for it next time because the next assignment is more tailored to their strengths. So that's how we can make our team project more efficient.
Yeah, I think that's definitely very important, is understanding who's on your team, what their strengths are, and making sure that everyone is held accountable, if not for this project, but for another one that they're more suited for. So the next question, moving on, is if you've personally experienced any challenges with discrimination as an underrepresented minority or woman, feel free to share that at this point. So keeping that in mind, what has kept you motivated to continue working through barriers that you might have faced, again, as an underrepresented minority woman or just an engineer in general? And how have you worked through those barriers you've encountered?
I can start for this one. So basically, like, whenever I like have a barrier, I kind of think of like my future and like the big picture. And so, like, for example, I'd be sitting and like working on a test and like I'd be stuck on something and I'd just be like, Joe, you have to motivate yourself and continue and you have to reach that goal. Because I come from a family where like my mom wasn't able to work, and that was because the culture she was in. So I really wanted to be someone that can kind of stem from like what I've seen with her and like, do better and like reach that goal or something that she couldn't.
To echo off of that, I really do think about like the future and like the broader goals that you have when you have like the smaller I guess obstacles that you encounter. And for me, as like the only Black female in aerospace, in my class of aerospace engineering, there's been like some challenges with my identity. And so I guess like some of the ones that I feel like a lot of people like encounter is like, you say an idea, like you're on a group meeting and you say an idea, and then someone else, like maybe a white male or somebody, says the same exact idea. And like obviously, like all of a sudden, like that's a brilliant idea that no one's, but you've already said that. So like being spoken over, or like just for me, it's like sometimes a lack of communication and a lack of connection because you just don't like come from the same background. But for me, I just like I just have to get over the fact that like I'm doing this for the broader purpose. Like I want more Black engineers to succeed, so I have to succeed and I have to do whatever I can to get through that situation. So whether that's like going to the professor and being like, hey, like they're literally not listening to me, or just like kind of just showing them, like writing on paper what you can do, and sometimes like that'll help. But those like that's kind of what keeps me motivated, is just like thinking about all the like young Black female engineers that want to be aerospace engineers, and like I'm doing it for them kind of.
I think that's awesome. And I really appreciate how you guys are also looking outside of yourself and not just navigating the barriers for yourself, but thinking about how you can make it better for people that follow you. I think that's really admirable. So moving on to question 5, if you were speaking to an underrepresented student who is struggling with their experience at Virginia Tech, what would you share with them and what advice would you give them?
If I was speaking to an unrepresented student, I would definitely introduce them to these Cameo organizations because they have a lot of resources and conferences and people to talk to. And especially I know SWE has a We19 conference where it makes it so much easier throughout the interview process because you feel comfortable with your interviewer and networking in that type of space and environment of all female engineers. So I would definitely introduce them to the diverse organizations that tech has to find their people. Oh, and also Cameo is the umbrella organization of all the minority organizations. So like SWE, SHIP, NSBE, and SACE, and AWC. So yeah.
To add on to that, I think one of the biggest things that I would say is, it's okay to feel overwhelmed sometimes, because it's hard to navigate college, but as Amy said, it's important to understand that there are resources and families out there for you. And so Cameo and a bunch of other organizations on Gobbler Connect are a great way to figure out where you see yourself fit best.
And if I may add on to that, I think one big thing that I try to do, and a lot of my friends we do, is that we try to take an open mindset of like, people are trying to learn who you are. So just take it one day at a time. I mean, I know myself when I've gone some comments that I thought were a little bit racist or inappropriate, to say the least. I just thought, maybe they don't really know that it's hurting me. So I think with the mindset of let's educate them. One of the professors over at the engineering education, he uses the concept of ouch and oops. So we tell them like, ouch, that hurts, and this is how we can correct things. So just keeping that mindset of that people are still learning, and this is not going to be a overnight transition. This will take some years for minorities especially to feel more in their comfort zone.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for sharing. I definitely think approaching all these situations with a sense of understanding where the other person is coming from and defining your reaction to kind of fit that and make sure that it kind of sets a precedent for let's not have this happen the same way again. I think that's really, really helpful. So moving on to the next question. What could be done to promote the participation and success of underrepresented students in the College of Engineering from your perspective as a student? And you guys could also use this as an opportunity to mention a few of the things that your organization is doing to promote this within the College of Engineering as well.
Well, I can start the question. People can jump in. So what a lot of especially like Roanoke graduate students, Virginia Tech, the College of Engineering, especially on the college side, they're partnering up with a lot of great organizations, and even myself and individuals, we have partnered up with great organizations. I always like to mention this one because I think this is a great organization. It's called Valhem HCI, so Hispanic College Institute. They have a great program over the summer where they bring over 100 students, Latinx, usually first generation generation Latinx students to come to Virginia Tech to see what it's like to experience the undergraduate life for a weekend. So organizations such as like those, I think, are a great way to basically bring in students, show them what the college experience is like, and to hopefully break the barrier of the minority population over in the College of Engineering and in research.
I definitely agree with that. And I'll just like add that supporting any of the diversity cameo organizations would help, because we all do and have initiatives that recruit engineers and retain engineers. We have professional events coming from perspectives of people like us. We also have like social events that help keep that network, because a lot of the like struggles that we encounter can be resolved with like having a good network. And then for NSBE specifically, we recruit engineers using our pre-college initiative program, where once a month we host, usually they all come to campus, kind of like what Katrina was talking about, but usually we host middle and high school students from underrepresented backgrounds to come and look at the different labs that we have and do different engineering projects. And so it's really helpful when professors open up their labs, or we have volunteers from the industry come. So that's something that I think we've seen a lot of people from our PCI events, pre-college initiative events, come to Virginia Tech. So it's really amazing. And then on like another note of what I think that we could do to help like underrepresented students is like on the university level, like hiring more faculty, underrepresented faculty, and making the classroom experience more inclusive. So we could think about that. That would be great too.
Yeah, thank you guys. Would anyone like to add to that as to what their organization is doing, or what ideas they have for what could be done within the College of Engineering, maybe even in a virtual setting?
Hi. Okay, so basically, as the education chair for like AWC, one of my main roles is to come up with workshops that can be attended by the members and fellow officers. And a lot of these workshops are can help with both like soft skills and technical skills, where either like the officers would host these and share their insights, or we'd have like company like representatives come and like share their advice and like what they kind of look for students. And I feel like a lot of these other organizations also have these kind of workshops, and all these different organizations that have like or stand for different students. I feel like they all serve as like a way where students can go kind of like their safe place and feel like a community that they're like included in. And these like different workshops can also help like help in like different areas.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on to our next question, thank you guys for sharing, and hopefully we can see a lot of these things come into fruition. And it's really great to hear about all the amazing things that your organizations are doing as well. So moving on to the next question, it's quite obvious that here today we are 100% a female represented panel. So why do you all think that we have a lot of women leading these organizations when women are drastically underrepresented in the College of Engineering? So why are women 100% of our participation or participants today? Do you guys think it's a coincidence, or is there something different about female engineering students?
I'm really proud of our representation today, and I'm from a society of all women engineers, so our officer board are all female, so that's why like I'm here. But I think it's because that since we're unrepresented as a whole in the general engineering community, it's that we try to seek these leadership experiences to make ourselves stand out and seek other opportunities to make ourselves unique and gain those skills to so we can be compared better to our male counterpart.
Adding on to that, I think it's really important for females to be role models and to put ourselves out here in leadership positions so that other future female engineers can see a role model, see someone to look up to. And I think that's really important for outreach purposes.
Yeah, absolutely. And would anyone like to add to that?
Yeah, and I also think it's hard to get through school without a support network. So that's why I always join these diverse cultural clubs and stuff so I can find a group to be with and study with and hang out with, because just going through the engineering program alone is very hard.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think all of us, we are strong, independent women. A lot of the women that I have met have the same characteristics. So I think you have chosen a group of women that we just are, we want our voices to be heard. So I think that's one characteristic that a lot of women in engineering we have in common, is that we're tired of being the minority. So we just want our voices to be heard. And this is a platform that we want to be within. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw Raven snapping, completely echo that and agree. I think you're very right. And anything we can do to make sure our voices are heard and amplify the voices of people that are coming into the engineering field as well. Yeah, that would be awesome. But thank you guys so much for answering these questions. At this time, we are going to transition to audience questions. So you guys in YouTube, please answer or enter your questions into the YouTube chat, and I will read them to our panelists to answer. Thank you guys again. So looks like we've received our first question, which is, how can alumni support underrepresented engineering students?
I think one of the biggest ways that alumni can support Cameo organizations and organizations in general is by coming in and attending events and helping host collaborative efforts. So at least for SAYS recently, we had a Textron hosted event, and our previous president, or one of our previous presidents, actually is currently working for Textron. And so to have that still continuing network not only helps the companies and have like a bigger pool, a bigger talent pipeline, but it also helps us as members to see what opportunities there are out there for underrepresented students.
Yeah, I agree. And also seeking out diversity within internships and employment. So having that alumni network and being able to just connect with someone on LinkedIn that went to Virginia Tech and knowing that they worked at a company that you're interested in. And I love how it's so easy to just connect and like schedule a call with them and talk about your ideas and what your goals are. And they can really help you find out what you want to do because you guys share that same background.
Definitely. Would you guys like to add something? I think another one would be, quite obviously, you can donate your time and you can also donate your money. So one segue to that would be donating to support SEED, as well as the Beyond Boundaries Scholarship Program. And there are tons of other university programs that are focused on the support of underrepresented students. So I would say definitely, if you have the means, donating to those programs would be very helpful as well.
Yeah, and just to add on to what Shivani said, like you can I know at least like SHIP and NSB and probably the other Cameo organizations, you can donate to us and like sponsor one of our events or sponsor us as a club. And there's some other benefits to that too, but that really helps us because we pay for members to go to conferences. This is how we pay for that PCI event that I was talking about. So that like really helps us as an organization. And to add on to, I can't remember who said this, but we were talking about mentorship and really providing, I think Amy was talking about like providing that connection, just offering to be there as they like look for jobs or as they like transition into the company. Because a lot of our organization members are also first generation like engineers. So they don't really know how to navigate that process as well. So being there would be helpful.
Yeah, and I also wanted to touch on how much SEED made an impact on my freshman year, because just simply studying in that atrium and seeing all of my friends that I met there I also participated in STEP, which was an engineering transition program, and that helped me meet a lot of my friends, and meeting everyone just in a simple study space, which was the Hancock Atrium, was a nice place for me to network and talk to everyone and just ask people for help, because I know everyone in there is studying the same topic.
And one more addition to Raven's statement, actually, regarding corporate sponsorship. There's various levels, at least I think, of different sponsorships. So it doesn't cost a ton to actually sponsor an organization. Sometimes it's even just a few hundred or even $100, and you'll receive varying levels of benefits from that. So that's really important to denote the distinction between different sponsorships.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you guys for making that distinction. So we do have another audience question, and that is, how did you select Virginia Tech and what made the university attractive to you?
I can start with this one. So this is going to date me, but I actually came to Virginia Tech as a junior in high school in the C-Tech Squared program. I think they changed the name, or maybe it's the same name. I can't remember. Or I would have to talk to Susan, that is in the seed office. I think she's still in the seed office, hopefully, right?
It's okay.
Huh?
She's gone.
Oh well. Well, that's how old I am. But basically, so yeah, I came to Virginia Tech for 2 weeks through the C-Tech Squared program. I really liked the campus. I mean, it just felt like home. And so unfortunately I applied as an undergrad here, couldn't make it because I'm from Puerto Rico, and so out of state tuition, too expensive. So when I did my undergrad at George Mason, knew I was going to grad school, came to Virginia Tech. I always knew that Virginia Tech had some type of home feeling. And I think a lot of us can agree to that with the motto Ut Prosum, that I may serve. And that's one of also the philosophies of my family. All of us, we've done something as a civil servant, either in the military or teaching wise. So Virginia Tech just felt right. I don't know how to really explain it. The best way I can say is like it was a feeling, and just the opportunities. I think all of us can agree on that too, that the network opportunities, the relationships, and Virginia Tech has a name of itself. So in terms of for the future, I think it just felt right. That's the best way I can say it.
I can add on to that. So basically, if I'm going to be honest, during my sophomore and junior years of high school, I actually didn't consider Virginia Tech at all because, like, being a student from North Carolina, I was mainly focused on like the in-state schools. But then one day in junior year, there was this representative that came from Virginia Tech to my high school and kind of like talked about the statistics and like the different programs like Virginia Tech had to offer, and then that kind of like captivated me. So then I kind of like started researching on my own. And then there was this program during senior year, which I went to. It was called the Women's Preview Weekend. And it was like something that Lee Hall held. And it was like this program where I was able to come and stay for like 2 days, I believe. And they kind of showed me the different things Virginia Tech had to offer. And this was something I was like seeing with my eyes, like actually, instead of like something on like the internet. So, and after seeing that and talking to some like upperclassmen and seeing like all the networking events, like the engineering expo and everything, I just knew, kind of like Katrina said, like that this would be where I can like get an amazing future and everything. So that's what got me to Virginia Tech.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for sharing. I think for me, what made it really attractive was kind of similar. I actually did not attend those any such events. I visited Virginia Tech once, but I think it was just the Hokie energy and the fact that it's like once you're a Hokie, you're all. I liked the concept of kind of being united under one term, no matter where you're from, who you are. Like you're a Hokie. So I really loved that. And I like how it kind of carries through in classes and such. But we do have another audience question, which is how can we attract more leaders and how can we develop them?
I can start that one. I think the news, the social media is such a powerful resource. So I think if the communication department were to just, I think they're doing a great job as it is, but just to keep promoting the different researchers that are going on, any type of race, Hispanic, Black, white, Asian, you name it, just promoting all the great work, both community-wise, research-wise, that's being done here at Virginia Tech, and just spreading out through the nation and through the world. I think that will show and will definitely bring a lot of interest and a lot of eyes to Virginia Tech.
I think we can develop better leaders by having a united leadership board, so within SWE or NSBE or SHIP, and having our members see how united our board is and how well we work together and how much fun we're having as officers is very important, because I know that's what made me want to run for an officer position for SWE, is because I saw how successful these women engineers were on the SWE board, and that inspired me to run and be more like direct in the process of recruiting more girls.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on to our last audience question of the day. Did you guys have any formal leadership training, or did you learn about good leadership solely through your experiences?
I could start this off. So in high school, I kind of had a bit of this formal training experience, but it wasn't like too hardcore because we were still high school students. But I would say most of my I guess soft skills and like leadership and everything come from like this officer position that I hold in AWC, because like you learn so much more than you think you do, because like once you like collaborate with fellow officers, you have like good communication, and then collaborating with like companies and like their representatives, you learn networking. And these aren't just like the only skills you learn, but like I feel like most of my training has come from being an officer.
I can echo that and say that as an RA, we have a good bit of like formal leadership classes that we have to take and trainings. But most of the skills that I apply now as a NSBE president, I've learned from experience and from other people's experience. Like I was very intentional about like meeting with different leaders in NSBE early on and like talking to them about like the mistakes or the problems that have happened on boards that I could learn from them. So it's mostly my and other people's experience that's developed my leadership skills.
Yeah, I agree with Raven. I definitely learned leadership skills by watching other people, and people that I just looked up to and like followed. I looked at their leadership experience and tried to apply that to when I'm mentoring people. And also seeing leaderships in a school setting is one thing, but then also in an internship experience and more work industry, and seeing how your managers control their team and how they organize tasks is very valuable to watch and note and see how they deal with their coworkers too.
Yeah, similar to what has been previously said, I hadn't received much training in terms of leadership skills, but you learn through various classes about professionalism, how to apply them in real world situations, such as internships, and through leadership experiences, specifically as the external vice president of SACE.
And I can just add one more thing. Like I said, I technically have two hats right now. I'm representing SHIP, but I'm also representing the Roanoke graduate student population. And I think the number one, and I agree with everyone here in this panel, but the one thing I would like to add is that leadership depends a lot on your constituents, on the people. Like people, like for my example, like the people in SHIP are not the same as the people in Roanoke. So definitely the leadership skills are not, I would say, are somewhat translatable, but I think you have to know your population and know the people that you're working with. That way you can be an effective leader.
Yeah, if we were in a chat mode, I would literally just emphasize everything that you guys said, because I completely agree. I think personally, I also just feel like for me, it's through experience, as a lot of you guys mentioned, but I also just feel like there are times where I feel totally unequipped for what I'm handling, but I try to let that be more of a motivating experience versus something that's daunting. And I really do feel like you learn more through experience than anything else, experience and watching others, as you guys mentioned. So thank you guys so much for sharing your experiences and your insight. It's been great having you guys here, all female panel. Awesome. And thank everyone in the audience for joining us today and listening. At this time, I'm going to pass it back to Robin. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you all so much for being with us today. I know that these students have inspired me, and the future of engineering is bright, and I know that they inspire their fellow students and colleagues through their experiences leading these organizations as well as in the classroom. So we do have a comment, that another thank you from one of our audience members for sharing your experiences and for being great leaders at Virginia Tech. And to our alumni, thank you for joining us today. If you would like to find ways to be more engaged with the university or connect with some of our students, feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is in the chat, or you can find it on the Virginia Tech website. So again, thank you so much for joining us. And I look forward to learning more about what these students are doing in the future. Maybe a couple years down the road, we'll have to have a Where Are They Now session. So thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, and we will see you next month.